tried to put it on Patreon and it said it was good and it was going, but then it wouldn't allow me to make it only on Patreon and be able to see your questions. So YouTube sucks, because when I looked at it yesterday, it was like you just have to copy and paste this link, put it over there, do it as a hangout, open up the Q&A thing. I did everything it asked me to do, but it didn't. So I'm so sorry. I'm going to send a message really quickly to my Patreon people, because it seemed like it was going to be easy. But still send your questions. You can message them to me on Patreon and I will go through them today and I'll answer as many as I can. I'm sorry. I'm just really frustrated. And I'm just going to have to push through, because life isn't perfect, right? We do the best we can. So I'm sorry that, that just, so annoying. Ugh. But I tried, and I'll continue to try. I'm going to send a message to all my Patreon patrons, because I told them that I would do this. And I had all of you sign up, and I'm so sorry. I was really trying to, I am so sorry. But we will try again. I'll try again next week, you guys. But I'll just have to email, I guess, the people at Google Hangouts or something, because that doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why it shouldn't have worked. No, it was supposed to be, a lot of you are asking if it was supposed to be for Patreon. So what happened? So Bethany's asking what happened. I tried to do it. I got on the Hangouts and posted it on Patreon, but it wouldn't do it. Even though I checked it out yesterday and it said I just need to post the link, activate the Q&A section, and I should just be able to do it just like we're doing it here. It would just be on Hangouts. But Google sucks, and it was like, you didn't embed this, and how come this? And then it wouldn't let me enable Q&A. So it was like worthless, because then I can't even answer any of your questions. Thanks, Sadie. I'm feeling stressed. I tried. So, and you can still ask questions, of course. Everybody can still ask questions. I will try again next week, probably early. I might play around with it. So hop on my Patreon account. I might be trying to live stream all week until I figure this fucker out, because that's really frustrating. And now, is it 5 o'clock yet? No, it's not, but I tried. So thanks, Bridget. I really tried, you guys, and I'll keep trying. And I think that'll be something that we do more regularly, because I am really grateful to all my Patreon patrons, and I'm grateful to all my Kenyans, because I have a great job, and it's super exciting. So anyway, I love you all. I'm sorry. Don't think that I'm going to give up, but that's what happened. So let's get back into it. I know. Thanks, Lulu. Okay, we're back. So let's get into more questions. Okay, so, tell us more about histrionic personality disorder, because nobody talks about it and I want to know how to deal with it. A lot of it can be just, I don't know, I guess the word I'm looking for is like realizing what it is you do. That is actually what you do with a therapist, is recognizing what symptoms you're showing most and noticing when those are triggered most. Because the thing about histrionic personality disorder, first of all, watch my video where I describe what it is. A lot of it can look like attention-seeking behavior, but it's part of us just really needing that kind of attention, good, bad, or indifferent. It's like a we can't help it kind of thing. And so recognizing what those symptoms are and working with your therapist to recognize and be mindful of when they happen, and knowing that you're in control of whether or not you actually act out of that urge. A lot of it's like DBT skills. I know that sounds really weird, but it's like being mindful and recognizing it. And I can talk about it more if you have more specific questions to it, but that's kind of how it works and how you work with somebody on it. And yes, you can manage it. And I have plenty of viewers that have talked about how they've managed it with their therapist. Schizoid personality disorder. I will be doing, Chelsea, I'll be doing a video about that. A lot of people have been asking about it, but it's something that's a little longer form than a live stream answer. Okay. Eileen says, I have EMDR, but I get so tired every time after it, and I'm scared every time I have it. Is this normal because I don't know what to do? Yes, EMDR is exhausting. Most of my clients who've done it, and many of you below my EMDR video, if you want to, the person that asked this question, or any of you have questions on EMDR, read in the comments. Almost everybody says, I'm so exhausted. I take naps afterward. I'll literally come home from it and sleep for like 14 hours. I'm so exhausted. So know that that is very normal. Know that that's not something to, think that something's wrong with you. It's a lot, and you're processing a lot. And all of my clients that have done it have been scared to go. So know that that's really normal too. You're working on trauma, Nobody's like, yay, I get to go, you know, work on that. That's not something we're excited about. And can you guys do me a favor and share this broadcast so people don't get confused since I messed it up and I can't figure out? So annoying. Okay, Bridget's asking, can you talk about all or nothing thinking and how we can challenge the thoughts? A lot of it is, first of all, we're going to have to do like a CBT technique that I do is having you like take note of your thoughts, keeping like a thought diary where you write down the ones that are all or nothing, black and white. And then we have to do some what I call reality testing, where we're like, when we think that thought, let's say the thought is, oh, I was gonna eat better and take better care of myself, but today I totally screwed up, so fuck it, it's over. And we go from all to nothing. And recognizing when that happens and taking the time to talk back and be like, but you know what? Today was just one day, and one day doesn't, arguing back. And if you have to pretend that you're me or your therapist or somebody else talking back to it, do that, because that can really help get you out of that thought process. And for more of these, YouTube search Kati Morton black and white thinking. I have a video about it. And if I do say so myself, I think it's a good one. Okay. And if any of you are just coming over, sorry I couldn't get to work on Patreon. I'll try again next week. Don't think I'll forget, because we're going to get this down. And maybe you'll get a ton of live streams because of it. Okay. Let's see. Gwendolis is asking, how long does it take to get over about 5 years of trauma? I've done trauma work already, but I still get triggered. If you've done a lot of trauma work and you feel like you've talked through all of it and it still comes back and you still feel like you get triggered and you go into flashbacks or you dissociate, if you still feel like you're struggling with it, I would encourage you to look into other treatment options. EMDR is one. There are actual treatment centers you can go to for like some of them a few days, some a few weeks, some a few months, depending on your level of trauma, where you just work on that. And I've heard some great things from a lot of my viewers and a couple of my clients who've gone to those that it's been really beneficial. So if you find that you're still stuck in that trauma cycle, I think it's worth looking into other options and other treatment things, because sometimes just talking it through in the way that, as a therapist, not a trauma specialist, I'm trained to deal with trauma, sometimes that's just not enough, because everybody's different, right? So try different treatment options and stuff. Kat, she's like, I had no idea you were on here. I've watched your YouTube videos forever. Well, welcome. Yay, I'm glad you found me. Yep, I hang out on here sometimes, Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Gwen. I hope that that's helpful. Or Gwendolis. Okay, different ways to... So, hi, Kate. I was just wondering, how are different ways that I could cope with body dysmorphia? There's a lot of different techniques, many of which actually are in my eating disorder workbook, where I want you to take note of the things that you say to yourself, and I want you to fight back and negate against them. You're not going to be able to do it for all of them, but do it as often as you can. I would encourage you to do it at least once a day and give yourself at least 15 minutes. And if you have to pretend you're somebody else talking to you, pretend you're somebody else. Also, there are ways that we can better manage it, being that we cover up mirrors for a while until we know that we're okay going out without, looking and looking and picking or changing our clothes or whatever it is that we do to cope. Covering up mirrors and any of that like ritualistic behavior that you have behind your BDD. Stopping that, working to stop those rituals with your therapist can also really help with the symptoms. Because BDD, I find, and you can agree or disagree, those of you out there who struggle, I find that the longer it goes untreated and like the longer we engage in the rituals and the like body beating up, the worse it gets. And so if we can kind of slowly shut that down, it'll get better. Hi, Vicky. Oh yeah, of course, you're very welcome. Okay. Somebody asked, Gail says, any hope for a 65-year-old with agoraphobia? Of course, it's never too late. I know that agoraphobia can kind of build on itself. I actually, spoilers, since you guys are here, you get to know first. I have a video coming out with Mitchell Davis where we talk about that. We don't talk about it specifically with age or anything, but we talk about agoraphobia a little bit and how he worked on it. And I know that it can get worse with age, but there are therapists that come to your house. There are therapists that will, meet outside your door. There are things that you can do and work with someone who can actually really help you, and it's never too late, okay? It's never too late to get better. Okay. Let's see. Bethany, is there anything that can help reduce the feeling that everyone knows everything about you or that has happened to you? Oh, why? And are judging you? That to be truthful, I feel like is part of the middle school / high school experience, but it's also kind of part of paranoia and thinking that everyone is talking about you when, in honesty, they're too worried about their own shit to think about you. That's just the truth about life. Half the time, when I like fumble, like fall, drop something, do something, like run into a door, like side of my arm, nobody even notices. And I'm like embarrassed for a minute, looking around, thinking, who saw me? Nobody's paying attention because they're too engaged in their own shit. So I would watch my videos about intrusive thoughts and thought stopping and do that, because the simple technique that I do with a lot of my clients is when you're struggling with a lot of intrusive thoughts, you can force your brain to think another thought, like another stream, something positive, something happy, something like, oh, remember that fun vacation I went on? Or here's a dream vacation I've had. And you force your brain to think about it for at least 30 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it is a long time. And every time your brain wants to go back to that thing, you're like, nope, we're thinking about this. It actually will change the trajectory of your thoughts, and it can get you out of that rut. Okay? Oh, Mel Can's asked him, I'm a psychologist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, not a psychologist. Different things. But we essentially do the same thing, just different title. Okay. I don't know how to say this name, but what can you do to get over your fear of dying? I think that fear of dying is kind of a common thought, and I think it's okay to be afraid to die. That's a normal fear, but if you feel like it's taking over all of your brain space, thought stopping techniques like I just talked about really help. Also working with a therapist to talk it out, because chances are there's something about that or something that has happened that has really triggered this, and maybe someone around you passed away. And it's very common when we go through grief like that for death to be on our mind a lot and to be really scared of it. And to, like, for instance, just, I guess, self-disclosure, when I was in middle school, one of my best friend, her sister got in a car accident and died. And for like a year almost, I think, I felt like, wow, life is really short. I mean, and I was, 13, 12? Like that's not a normal way to think as a 13 or 12-year-old, but for that like year, I kept thinking, oh my God, and I would be afraid to get in cars, and I would think like, oh my gosh, I could just die, and I'm so afraid. But that's normal. It's a normal part of your process. And then I was in therapy. My mom put me in therapy. At that time, they offered it through the school. And so, yeah, that really helps just talk it out and realize where it's coming from. Okay. Alex is asking, this is a great question. Oh, and thanks, Ollie, for inviting fans. What is the difference between counseling and therapy? Honestly, there's no difference. The reason that we call it counseling or therapy depends on the person that you're seeing, depends on their degree. So back in the day when I first became a therapist, counselors were people who didn't have their master's. They got 4 years, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just explaining to you what the difference is. They had a 4-year undergrad degree, and they were counselors. And anyway, so they could just, that's what I did out of school to make sure I wanted to be a therapist before I went to graduate school. And it's usually cheaper. It's usually something that's more readily available. Therapy is just someone who has their master's degree. But now I believe there are master's programs in counseling. So there's really no difference, but it depends on your state. But at the end of the day, if you like the person, if you feel they're really helping you, it doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, thanks, Carly, for inviting people to the broadcast. Okay, so Mel is asking, what do you call when a guy is afraid of commitment? A lot of it can be, the funny thing is that if I could go back and, it's funny when you're older and you think about things that you thought as a teenager or even as a 20-something, because now I'm not a 20-something. Oh, thank you for the tip. And I never know how to say your name, and I'm Egetortu, maybe. But commitment phobia, maybe that's a video that I do, but commitment phobia actually usually stems out of either a fear of abandonment, like we talked about before. Like often we're so afraid that someone's going to leave us that we're like, oh, I leave you first. You know, that's out, push out, no more. And so that it can come from that. It can also come from a fear of vulnerability, like not wanting someone to get too close and not knowing what that would feel like. And it can also come out of a place of lack of self-confidence, that like, oh, if they really know me and I really let them in, then they won't like me anymore. And that can cause it too. So there are a lot of places that can come from. And I think a lot of it has to do with age and I guess just being more of an adult and understanding yourself better, a little bit of like self-exploration and understanding, but also a lot of self-work. And I think for me, relationships are only, like, my relationship with Sean only got better and only happened because I'd been in therapy and I understood like where I was coming from and what I was looking for and what was important to look for and what were the unhealthy things I was usually looking for. But know that like commitment phobia, you know, comes from a lot of different places, and it's usually about the person who's afraid to commit and what, you know, what they maybe grew up with, not so much about the person that they're dating. Okay. Oh, Catherine, selective mutism. Yes, I redid my video because I put out a video, like, I want to say a year ago, and I said some things that were incorrect, and I felt bad about it, and so I removed that video, and I have a new one coming out. So stay tuned for that. Oh, yeah, Mel, of course. Happy to help. Okay, I'm going over to my guests. Are people ready? If you're hanging out in there, I'm going to put you on. So J123D, are you ready? Ask your question, and then I'll pop you out, and I'll answer. So let's connect. And thanks, guys, for being patient with the whole live streamy sitch. I'm going to have to remove that post on Patreon when I get done because it's bullshit. So annoying. Is it connecting? Here we go. Maybe? Hello? Are you there? Maybe you have your camera covered up like me. I usually have like a little sticker that goes over it. Someone sent me these emoji stickers a long time ago, and I put them on because they're really cute. Ooh, we see your carpet. We're here. Are you here? Okay, I'm going to drop you, but try again if you can figure it out, okay? Okay, Ollie, are you ready? I'm going to put Ollie on and see if Ollie has a question really quick. Oh, and you're a theater kid, Broadway geek. Very cool. I wish that this was faster. I actually asked them about that, and they said that like being on your phone, like I said last time, like being on your phone can be really difficult and it can really slow it down. Why is it showing just like carpet? That's so weird.
The girl from Great Britain somewhat has been waiting the longest.
Okay, Courtney, are you ready? I'm going to put you on. We'll see if it connects. And then if it doesn't, you guys will take a break and I'll go back to the chat, and then we'll come back to the guests in a second. It just always takes a little while. Hi, Court.
Hi.
Oh, I can't hear you. Do you have your mic on? Maybe.
Should be on.
Okay. I'll leave you up. I'm going to pop over to the chat really quick. Okay. And let me know when you can ask your question whenever we can hear you. Go for it. Okay. So, Ashley, it says, is someone being idealized or devalued? Why does it do that? Okay, okay, Jelly Bean says, why do I feel even worse after using a coping skill when it works in the moment? That's interesting. I would guess that maybe we need to come up with some new coping skills. Hey, Court, do you want to try again later? I can find you and then put you back on. Let's try again in a sec. And I saw your question, so if you go back in the guests, I'll add you back in a sec, okay? Just going to drop her so we can try to get her audio up. Okay. Let's see. And now I forgot the question that I was answering. Oh, if you're Jelly Belly, asked about like if you use a coping skill and you feel worse. I would encourage you to come up with others, because sometimes we'll try one coping skill and yeah, in the moment it helps, which is awesome, but then maybe we need something else for after, because if it ends up making you feel worse, that means that you might need like 2 other coping skills to manage that after effect. And I know it sucks, but if we use self-injury or eating disorders or any kind of unhealthy behavior, even like addiction, we don't just need a 1-to-1, like a 1 good healthy coping skill for 1 nasty. We need like 5 good for the 1 unhealthy, because our body's so used to getting that rush from whatever that unhealthy thing is that we need to have a lot of things stacked up that we can do, because we're going to need to distract, we're going to need to process it a little, we're going to need to cope with it. And so I'd encourage you to come up with a lot of other options. I know that sucks, but it really ends up making us successful in the end. Oh, thank you. I think it's Katie Cranwell. I've seen, and it says KT, but I'm assuming it's Katie, like me. Okay. Now, Emily says, how do I get past feeling guilty all the time and like I'm a bad person? Negative self-talk. Every evening, give yourself 15 minutes and say 10 things that you're grateful for, and make sure that at least 4 of those are things you like about yourself. It'll help, because usually guilt comes from us kind of just beating up on ourselves all day long, every day. Okay, I'm going to pop over to the guests really quick. And let's try Love Life 90486. Are you ready? Let's try this. And we'll try to connect. And while that connects, I'll answer another question. Emily, oh, I already answered that one. Look at me. Oh, Beauty Baby asked, how do I approach a guy I like?
Hi.
Can we hear you?
I need to show you.
Do you see me? Have a question?
Okay, I need to show you something really quick.
How come we can't hear anybody? Is it me?
This
no.
is how.
It says it. Oh. Okay. Okay, guys. Approaching a guy that you like, I think that this is just me. This is plain advice. This isn't like therapy stuff. Okay, just throwing that out there. I honestly think it's easiest to approach people that you like and to talk with them in group settings. So if there's like a get-together over the summer, right before school or right after school or any kind of event, football game, whatever, if you go to that with a group and they're in the group that you're with, I find it to be easiest to just chat with them there. I would open with something simple. Okay, just this is a blanket statement. You don't need pickup lines. Don't say anything too intense to embarrass yourself. Start out with something simple. Like for instance, the way that Sean approached me was like, hi, my name is Sean. That's a good approach. It's a normal human interaction. So I'd encourage you to just stick with something simple. The way that I would approach someone that I liked would just be introducing myself, or if I already know them, obviously, because sounds like you have a crush. So you already know them and they hopefully already know you. Then you just ask how their day is going, or how was that horrible science test everybody's been complaining about, or whatever. Something simple about what's going on. And then, they'll answer you and then be like, okay, cool, have a good day. I'll see you later. And that's it. That's an easy way to approach them. And then you slowly build up to maybe asking them to do something with you or anything like that. But that's just getting to know each other and practicing, talking to them without sweating too much and getting too nervous. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Barbara Marie says, do your clients let you read their journals? Mine has read mine in the past few sessions with my permission, obviously, but is that normal? Oh, it's definitely normal. I've had clients bring in their journals with pages, like certain pages tagged, and ask me to read those because it's something they can't say in session. And that's why I always tell you guys to write things down and bring it in, because that really can help. And it can actually sometimes be easier to write it versus say it out loud to someone. Emma Hewitt, this is a great question. She says, how do you know that you're ready for therapy? The truth is, you really don't. But the only way you really know, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but the only way that you know you're ready for therapy is when you're sick of the way things are. That's it, period. That's all you got to do. If you're sick of how things are going for you and you want to get better, that's all we need. Just the willingness to get better. Okay, let's try to have someone ask a question and I'll answer a couple more questions and then I got a skedaddle. Okay, no, somewhat 1445, you've been waiting a long time. I'm going to make you a guest and let's see. And she's in Great Britain. I like that it tells me where you guys are from. That's a really cool added bonus when it comes to this stuff because then, there's a lot of you from Great Britain. What time is it there? Is it like 8 p.m.? Aren't we like 8 or 9 hours difference? I think so. Oh, and Hannah's asking, and I'm just doing this until we get connected to somewhat 1445. She says, is it bad to feel so attached to my psychiatrist? Only if you feel that it's like harming your ability to work with them and it's making it difficult and you want to call them more often than not. And if that is the case, then I would honestly just let them know. Talk about it. It's part of the process. The relationships are kind of interesting when it comes to therapy and stuff. And so just being open and honest about it actually helps. Okay. I don't know what is going on with the guesting here, you guys. Courtney, are you ready to try again? It looks like you're in there. So let's try one more time. And then you guys, I'm going to be done with the guests because it just seems to not, I don't know if it's me, but mine says full, everything's running. We're running full speed ahead. So is it going to go? I'll get into the chat. Hey, Courtney, can we hear you now?
Hi. Can you hear me?
It's not, I can't hear you. I don't know why the audio is not working. Does it have a button? Because mine has like on the screen, if I hover, if I hover over my face, it gives me the option of turning on my audio or turning off my my camera. Let's get that figured. Okay. Oh, you guys can hear her, but I can't. Why is that? That is weird, you guys. My volume's all up and everything. Maybe it's my fault. Man, I am not doing very well, you guys, like with technology today. Oh, I hear you.
Can you?
Court? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was, but I just poked a bunch of buttons. Ta-da! So what's your question?
The thing is, I've got a party.
Your birthday party, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy birthday early. It's on the 24th, I think you said?
Yeah, 24th. And I'm both excited and nervous about it, but how can I get over the fear of, like,
having a bunch of people
that
paying attention?
Yeah.
That can be really stressful. I know all people are saying like abracadabra because I finally figured out how to hear you. Okay, I'm going to drop you out and I'll answer your question, okay? And happy early birthday. Yay!
Thank you.
But don't worry, we'll make sure you enjoy it. Okay, so how do we get over having people, like having a lot of attention? The funny thing is that one of my best friends really struggles with this, and her wedding, she was like, nope, done. Don't want you to look at me anymore. Pictures are over. She even stopped halfway through their dance and was like, okay, that's all. That's all I can handle. I think that the truth of it is if you have control, and I'm going to give you a bunch of different options, Court, but I think, so if you have control over who's invited, make sure it's your people. I know that there's often like family and we're not always that close to all of our family because maybe they don't live as close or we just don't see them as often or maybe we just don't like them. And so I think that if you have control over who's there, make sure that you, at the very least, have your support team around you, okay? And so that would be my first thing, is like making sure you have your people around you to support you and lift you up and maybe just like take you away from the group every now and then and let you breathe. And that's comes into my second tip, which is step outside and take a breath if you need to. That might be going in the bathroom and locking the door and just sitting and I know that sounds weird, just sit on the toilet, but sit in the bathroom for a bit and relax when you need to. Take breaks. It's okay. And then the third is preparing ahead. Make sure that you take good care of yourself. Make sure that you're sleeping enough. Make sure that you're comfortable with, the party's happening. You feel like you give yourself enough time. Making sure you don't feel flustered. Don't like wake up in that day and already feeling really frustrated and stressed, because if we kind of start off feeling a little better, then it can lead us to feeling better. Okay? So those would be kind of my tips. And if any of you have any other tips and tricks, that is sometimes really hard to say, let us know in the comments and stuff. But I hope that helps, Court, and happy early birthday. That's so exciting. But yeah, have your friends, take breaks, and prepare ahead. Okay. G. Austin says, hey, Katie, I know in your videos you talk about the importance of parental involvement, but I'm a college student. How does that work? Sorry. It's up to you, honestly. Once you're an adult, parental involvement is still important when it comes to certain work, especially if you live at home and especially if there was a really unhealthy situation in your upbringing. But once you're an adult, it's actually your choice. Unless your treatment team is really set on you doing family work, I think that it's best if we do family work, only because it ends up actually healing the wound from earlier a lot better than if we were doing it ourselves. But that's not always the case, because we can't, like, let's say our father was an alcoholic or abusive or something and they still are acting that same way, then it's not beneficial. But if they're able to participate, family work can really be healing for you and your family members. But know that once you're an adult and in college, it's up to you and you don't have to. But that may be a part of your treatment plan because it can be so beneficial. Okay. Yeah, of course, Courtney. I hope that was helpful. You're very welcome. Okay, let's see. Jaden says, after this week, my mood is all over the place. My 18th is in 9 days, and I don't want to celebrate, but I don't want my family to force it because I'm 18. Well, you can tell them you don't want it and not have it, but I would encourage you to maybe take some time today and tomorrow and take care of yourself and consider what's going on. And I would think that you probably would want a party, but maybe it's just smaller. Maybe it's more on your terms with the people you want, and I would express that. I know. I hope Courtney has a lovely party too. That's so sweet, Bridget. Okay, let's see. Emma Hewitt. Oh, laptop froze while you're answering my question. Typical. What was the question? Which one? You'll have to refresh my memory, and I will get to it. Okay. How can I deal with? Sorry, it went all the way to the others. How can you deal with HPD, so histrionic personality disorder and depression, if you can't see a therapist? I would get the DBT workbook that I recommend. It's a green one. It's called the Dialectical and Behavioral Therapy Workbook, and it's by McKay and somebody else, and you can find it, and that's what I would actually do. Okay, Nikki F. says, my psychiatrist told me to take quetiapine, which is Seroquel. Wrong. Should I complain? Definitely. It's your body. It's your medication. It's your treatment. I don't know exactly what they did. Usually they have you take it in the evening, or at least that's my client's experience, because it helps you sleep sometimes. Yeah, I would complain. I would talk to them. I would express my discontent and tell them what how they can fix it. Make sure you're getting the treatment that you want, and maybe even seeing another psychiatrist, because that shouldn't happen. That kind of worries me, but that's just me. Okay, so Deluxe, it's like deluxe, but D like Louise, but with an X. Is alcoholism more hereditary or environmental? Can an alcoholic parental figure cause BPD? Okay, alcoholism is both hereditary and environmental. There's a large hereditary component to it, and we're learning more about that each and every day. I was contemplating having Alex Danis. Do you remember her? She's on my channel, and she's a genealogist? Is that the word? She works on genetics, a geneticist. Ding, using my noggin, look at me. Because that's something that's really, I can only read articles of new research that's happening and tell you about it, but she really can explain it, and like, boom, she knows it. So that might be something that we do in the future. So alcoholism can definitely be hereditary, and it can also be environmental. A lot of times it's like, if we're not given other coping skills, but then one of our friends is like, oh, you're having a shit day. Thanks for the tip, Mike Joshua. You're my number one fan. Hoo-hoo. But if we're having a really shit day and our friend's like, oh, let's just go out and get wasted, and that like helps you, then that might be something that you end up doing more frequently. And so I think that I would, you see Sean walking in the back room there, sneaky sneak. But yeah, so that could be something as well, because that's environmental, but we needed some support and we had no other coping skills. And then also, living with an alcoholic, can it cause BPD? Not necessarily, but it can lead to some of the things that we know in the end do cause BPD. So down the line, maybe, but we actually find that BPD is more, I guess, I'll just tell you, we find BPD is more related to like attachment. And so people who haven't had a solid upbringing and have had like irregular familial support, and maybe the mom is unsupportive or something like that, or their primary caregiver isn't that great, that's usually what it leads to. And yes, alcoholism, I guess, could lead to that, but that's more what we know. Okay. Okay, Heidi says, how can I get over the fact, it's actually Heidi with a lot of eyes. How can I get over the fact that I don't want to get better, but I know that I have to for my friends? It went up to the top. And family. You don't have to get better for them. I know this is going to sound like counterintuitive, but no one can force us to get better. I would encourage you, if you're like, okay, I need to, I don't want to, but I need to. Do you feel the difference there? Then you could essentially sit down, do some thinking, and figure out why you would want to get better for you. What is it? Are there reasons? Does it suck right now? Do you hate what's going on right now? Most likely, yes. But it's really hard to think, oh, I just want to get better. I think that's the misconception. We don't have to think, oh, I want to get better. We can honestly just think, hey, life is shit right now, and I don't want it to be that way anymore. And so I'm going to make a couple small steps, and hopefully I'll start feeling better. That's all you need. So I wouldn't say that you have to want to get better, and I wouldn't get better for other people. It needs to be for you. Okay? That's just my advice. Okay, last question, because I got a skedaddle. J123D says, should we let our teachers know that we have depression or anxiety? Definitely. It can definitely help. They can help so much as long as they know that you are struggling and they know what it is and why. There's so many ways that they can make things better for you. Whether it's checking in with you, whether it's maybe giving you more time on a test or letting you test alone, or you know, anything like that. Letting you know, or like having an understanding that if you do feel overwhelmed, you can, like, I have a client who can raise up a little red card. It's like as small as her hand, and she just pulls it up and then she leaves and she goes to the school counselor. So that's something that you can set up as well so that you have a way to get out. So I would definitely tell them. Okay, wonderful to see everybody. I'm so sorry about the Patreon live stream, but I'm going to work on it this next week, and I'm going to try periodically. So if you're available, you might just get a pop-up notification that I'm there, and I'm just going to keep working on it until we get it to go. So, okay? I love you all. Have a wonderful weekend, and it's finally Friday. We're going to hit the road a running, let the good times roll, roll. And that's the truth. So I love you all. I'll see you later. Bye.